August 1944. A German field marshal stands over his maps, watching his entire army disintegrate. His intelligence officers swear 3 separate American forces are advancing from 3 different directions. They're analyzing radio intercepts, tracking supply movements, triangulating artillery positions. All of it points to a massive coordinated assault by multiple armies. They're wrong. It's one general, one corps, moving so fast that every German calculation becomes obsolete before the ink dries on the map. By the time defensive positions are prepared, this ghost army has already passed through them, 20 miles behind the lines, cutting off retreat, turning organized withdrawal into slaughter. The field marshal will be dead within weeks, suicide, rather than explain to Hitler how 285,000 German soldiers vanished in 28 days. That general, the one Germany never saw coming, doesn't even crack the top 3 on this list. Between 1941 and 1945, 5 American commanders accumulated body counts so staggering that enemy forces rewrote their entire doctrine when these men entered their sector. 3.5 million enemy soldiers killed, not wounded, not captured, killed. Number 5 moved faster than intelligence itself. Number 3 commanded more soldiers than any general in American history. Number 2 isn't who you think. And number 1, he killed more enemy soldiers than the other 4, combined while losing proportionally fewer Americans than anyone. This is cold mathematics, verified combat statistics, the documented calculus of who won their battles and how many men they lost doing it. Number 5, Lieutenant General Lucian Truscott, the Ghost General. The man German commanders spoke about in whispers during post-war interrogations, years after the shooting stopped. Lucian Truscott understood something that escaped every other commander in the European theatre. Speed doesn't just help you win battles, speed makes battles unnecessary. If you arrive before the enemy expects you, their defensive preparations don't exist. Their artillery isn't registered. Their reserves aren't positioned. Their communications aren't established. You're not fighting their army. You're fighting their confusion. Truscott invented something called the Truscott Trot, a forced march pace of 5 miles per hour carrying full combat gear. Standard army doctrine mandated 2.5 miles per hour. His infantry moved twice as fast as anyone in Europe. The gap, those extra 2.5 miles per hour, created a temporal advantage that compounded with every passing day. German commanders planned counterattacks based on when American units could possibly arrive. Truscott's men materialized 24 hours ahead of schedule every time. Operation Dragoon, the invasion of southern France. Allied command estimated 90 days to capture the region and link with forces advancing from Normandy. Truscott did it in 28. The German 19th Army, 285,000 troops, tasked with stopping him, lost 7,000 killed, 22,000 wounded, and 79,000 captured. 400 miles in 4 weeks. And here's the number that matters. Truscott's 6th Corps suffered the lowest casualty rate per mile advanced of any American corps in the entire European theatre. He killed more, he lost fewer. That's not luck. That's a commander who understood that the best way to protect his own men was to never give the enemy time to organize. German officers captured after the war said the same thing. When you learned Truscott was in your sector, you had 2 options: retreat immediately or lose everything. There was no third choice. Most Americans have never heard of Lucian Truscott. The Germans who fought him remembered his name until they died. Number 4, Lieutenant General James Gavin, 1:51 in the morning, June the 6th, 1944. A 36-year-old brigadier general stands in the open door of a C-47 transport aircraft, wind screaming past him at 110 miles per hour. Anti-aircraft fire lighting up the darkness below. In 90 seconds, he will step into that void and fall through the largest aerial invasion in human history. James Gavin didn't observe the Normandy invasion from a command post. He didn't arrive after positions were secured. He jumped first, before his men, before anyone. He landed 4 miles from his drop zone with a pistol, a knife, and 12 scattered paratroopers. By dawn, he'd captured Sainte-Mère-Église, the first French town liberated on D-Day. That's leadership that cannot be taught. Gavin pioneered vertical envelopment warfare. The concept sounds simple. Drop behind enemy lines, capture critical objectives before the enemy realizes you're there. Hold those objectives regardless of cost until relieved. The execution was anything but simple. His 82nd Airborne was supposed to be relieved 48 hours after D-Day. They held for 33 days against 5 German divisions, with nothing but light infantry weapons against armor and artillery that should have annihilated them. The division lost 5,245 men killed, wounded, or missing. They held every single objective, every bridge, every crossroads, every town. German counterattacks heading for the invasion beaches had to fight through Gavin's paratroopers first. Most never reached the coast. 4 major operations, Sicily, Normandy, Holland, the Bulge, and Gavin's 82nd Airborne engaged elements of 23 different German divisions. They inflicted an estimated 23,000 casualties while suffering 15,147 of their own. Standard doctrine said airborne units couldn't hold against armoured counterattacks. Gavin's division did it 4 times. When captured, German officers were asked which American units they feared most. The 82nd Airborne under Gavin was mentioned more than any other, not because of superior equipment, not because of numbers, because their general jumped first. His men knew he would never order them to do something he wouldn't do himself. That kind of leadership creates soldiers who don't surrender, don't retreat, don't break. The Germans learned that at the cost of 23,000 dead. Number 3, General Omar Bradley, 1 million. Read that number again. 1 million enemy soldiers killed or captured under Omar Bradley's command between June 1944 and May 1945. More than any American commander in the European theater. More than Eisenhower directed, more than Patton achieved, and most people don't even know his name. Bradley didn't seek publicity. He didn't deliver dramatic speeches. He didn't wear custom uniforms or carry ivory-handled pistols. He sat in planning rooms with maps and casualty reports and logistics spreadsheets, and he designed operations with mathematical precision. The Germans called his operational style clockwork, because Bradley's attacks came exactly when he said they would, hit exactly where he said they would, and achieved exactly what he predicted. No chaos, no confusion, just methodical, relentless destruction. Operation Cobra, July 25th, 1944, the breakout from Normandy. Bradley concentrated 1,500 heavy bombers on a 5-mile front, then sent 7 divisions through the gap. The German defensive line collapsed within 72 hours. Within a week, the entire German front disintegrated. Within a month, Paris was liberated. Field Marshal Günther von Kluge committed suicide rather than report the disaster to Hitler. His replacement described Bradley's tempo as impossible to counter. By the time German commanders understood what was happening and issued orders, Bradley was already executing the next phase. During the Battle of the Bulge, Bradley identified the German main effort within 18 hours. Most commanders thought the breakthrough was a limited attack. Bradley recognized it as a major offensive and repositioned forces immediately. German casualties were 100,000, American casualties 89,000, but American losses could be replaced within a month. German losses couldn't be replaced at all. Then came the Ruhr. Bradley's 12th Army Group encircled Germany's industrial heartland. 325,000 German soldiers surrendered in a single operation, the largest mass surrender in German military history. It happened because Bradley surrounded them so efficiently that resistance was pointless. That's the difference between good generals and great ones. Good generals win battles. Great generals make the enemy realize fighting is futile. No Hollywood movie, no dramatic legacy, just the quiet record of a man who killed more Germans than any American commander through simple, relentless competence. The Germans didn't fear Bradley because he was aggressive. They feared him because he never made a mistake they could exploit. Number 2, General George Patton. Yes. Number 2, not number 1. George Patton's Third Army inflicted 1.4 million casualties on German forces, a kill ratio approaching 9-1. Those are spectacular numbers that have fueled his legend for 8 decades. But legends obscure truth. Third Army suffered 160,000 casualties, the highest of any American army in Europe. 27,000 Americans died under Patton's command, more dead Americans than any other army commander in the war. The question isn't whether Patton was effective. He was devastating. The question is whether his results justified the cost. That's why he's number 2. Patton's philosophy was simple. Speed and violence overwhelm any defense. Accept casualties if it means maintaining momentum. Momentum wins wars. That philosophy produced spectacular results. His army captured 80,000 square miles of territory in 9 months, more than any other American force. His relief of Bastogne during the Bulge required turning Third Army 90 degrees in 48 hours. Operationally brilliant. But his casualty rates were 40% higher per day of combat than the 12th Army Group average. His attack through Lorraine in autumn 1944 caused 50,000 American casualties to advance 40 miles. The exchange ratio dropped to 3 Germans for every American, a third of his usual efficiency. Why? Because Patton attacked fortified positions without sufficient preparation. He believed momentum mattered more than losses. 21 Medals of Honor were awarded for actions under Patton's command during the Bulge, more than any other battle in the European theatre. His soldiers performed incredible acts of heroism because Patton demanded it. They died in larger numbers because Patton accepted those costs. The Rhine crossing in March 1945. Third Army advanced 55 miles in 48 hours, the fastest advance in military history. It cost 12,000 American casualties in 2 days. By VE Day, Third Army had killed or captured 1.4 million German soldiers while suffering 137,000 casualties, including 27,000 dead, the highest enemy body count in Europe and the highest American losses. Patton is buried at Luxembourg American Cemetery among his men. His grave is marked with a simple cross like thousands of others. His is the only one tourists visit. The legend overshadows the mathematics, but the mathematics are why he's number 2, not number 1. Number 1, General Douglas MacArthur. Douglas MacArthur killed more enemy soldiers than any American commander in history, while losing proportionally fewer of his own men than any comparable operation. That's not opinion, that's arithmetic. Between 1942 and 1945, forces under MacArthur's command killed approximately 485,000 Japanese soldiers in direct combat and captured another 71,000, but those numbers don't tell the complete story. MacArthur's island-hopping strategy bypassed heavily defended Japanese positions entirely. Those bypassed garrisons, an estimated 250,000 soldiers, received no orders to evacuate. They couldn't threaten American operations, they couldn't resupply, they just died. Slowly. From disease, from starvation, from isolation. Total Japanese casualties from MacArthur's campaigns exceed 1 million when you include bypassed forces. The Papua New Guinea campaign, MacArthur's forces suffered 24,000 casualties. Japanese forces lost 160,000, a 6.6 to 1 ratio. The Philippines campaign, American casualties were 62,000, including 14,000 killed. Japanese casualties were 336,000, and including 267,000 killed, a 5.4 to 1 ratio. Compare that to Iwo Jima, where American forces suffered 26,000 casualties to kill 18,000 Japanese. MacArthur produced better results at lower cost because he refused to fight where the enemy was strong. He attacked where they were weak, cut their supply lines, let them starve. Previous Pacific operations tried to capture every island. MacArthur realized that was unnecessary. Take the airfields, take the ports, bypass everything else. Japanese garrisons on isolated islands couldn't affect American operations. They had no ships, no aircraft, no resupply, so MacArthur left them to die. By war's end, over 250,000 Japanese soldiers were stranded across the Pacific. Most never saw a rescue ship. Brutal, absolutely effective, undeniably. The criticism of MacArthur is that he was self-aggrandizing and glory-seeking. That's true. He awarded himself more medals than any general in American history. He carefully staged photographs. He cultivated a personality cult. But beneath the theater was genuine strategic brilliance. His coordination of air, naval, and ground forces across thousands of miles of ocean was the most sophisticated operation of the war. And his casualty rates proved that aggressive strategy didn't require massive losses. MacArthur accepted Japan's surrender on September 2, 1945, then transformed the nation from militaristic empire to democratic ally. The modern US-Japan alliance exists because MacArthur got occupation policy right. Love him or hate him. Douglas MacArthur was the most lethal American general of World War II because he killed more enemy soldiers while losing fewer of his own men than any commander in history.